I
Dallas?
was trying to think of an Ultron song, and I was like, hang on.
I was like, the people are here, my guy.
I am Ultron. No, I didn't.
Wow. That was an experience.
I was trying to go somewhere. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. I'm sorry. Welcome to Atomic Mass Transmissions Live. What can I say? I'm back from mini extravaganza.
No more live than it's ever. No less live than it's ever been.
No less live than it's ever been.
Super live.
Super live. Oh, today we're paying up Ultron from the new Earth's Mightiest core set. Super excited about this one. When we start paying this, you might recognize this. This is actually the Ultron from the trailer. This was the Ultron in the trailer. And we're just going to finish him because, you know what? He got a base coat, and that makes it easy. So we can just get started. You want to kick it to that minicam?
Consider yourself kicked.
That's what I'm doing today. So I got a layer of bright silver all over the place and on this feller. And I'm going to use some Pro Acryl Warm Gray and some glaze wash, and I'm going to glaze this whole thing just to tone him down a bit. And we're going to do, if you've watched stream, you know I'm a big fan of true metallic metal. I like true metallic metal. I think it reads super good on packaging, and I think it reads super good in photographs, and I love it on the tabletop. So we're going to true metallic metal this up. But if you watch the other videos from past mini extravaganzas, you know that I try to use a non-metallic metal, or MNN, philosophy when painting my true metallic metals to make it more deep, rich, wonderful, and just more visually interesting. So I'm going to make a glaze. Got this nice bright silver, and we're going to glaze this warm gray over top of the warm silver. What this is going to do is going to sort of gray it down, and because it's warm, it's going to warm it up. But I want some of that metal to shine through, right? But this will just take it down one notch, make it a little more opaque. And this is going to let us build up to make it look more metallic in the end. I've had one PSL today. Thank you very much. I'm not getting crazy around here. Jeez. And homemade donuts. Our office manager, Jeremy, brought in homemade from scratch donuts. And they were delicious.
Did you know?
Did you know?
That I was today years old when I realized that donut holes were the center of the donut.
What do you think they were?
Just like a new cool way to eat bread.
Oh. I mean, I'm always looking for new cool ways to eat bread.
Well, me too. But when I came in, I was like, wow, how nice. And then I saw the donut holes, resting in the center of the donuts. And I thought to myself, huh. And that's the rest of my story.
We call them donut remnants.
Yeah.
Those are just the remnants of a donut. Well, since it's Ultron, quick question. If he throws a tray and spawns grunts and they don't get to activate for the rest of the round, right? I don't have the card in front of me. You're asking the wrong person. Is Shikker Pagani in chat?
I don't believe so, but we do encourage folks to head to the rules forums, and I'll put the link in chat here in a second.
Hey, that's what the rules forum are for.
Yeah, to ask any questions. If you want people to answer who are not affiliated with us, but are willing to help. The Discord is a great place. People check on things there before asking a lot of the time, but that is the best place to, the forums rather, are the best place to get an official answer on a rules calling.
Dallas is not the best place to get an official rules answer because I will lead you astray. Typically, we don't answer questions about things that are not released. Another good point to make there, right? Isn't that true? I'm not a rules person. I don't know.
That is true.
You gotta wait for it to get released. You can't just be asking questions. It's gotta be released. That's the rules. In the rules forms. I'll give you an answer, but you ain't gonna like it. Oh, I hope this glaze dries quick. I guarantee everybody's like, he's just painting silver over silver. I can't tell. That's the point.
Hey, Nick. Nick is saying that they've been waiting on an answer on the forum. Just wanted to comment on that, just to say that we do have forum rules mods going through large queues for all the games, and the way that they prioritize it is to ensure that the answers who are helping like the most people potentially get answered first. And I'm pretty sure that they might be waiting to answer questions on the Earth's Mightiest core box because it is not officially out yet in the world. There are some folks who have press copies, but it's not out there being played by the general public at large.
Okay, we're going to let that dry a little bit. How goes the Warriors Fall project? Well, I guess you'll have to wait for a couple weeks to see it on stream. Ayo! Spoiler. We're bringing it back, kids. The Warriors Falls project was pretty well received, so I think we're going to bring it back for another stream. So we'll do a little update. Honestly, I've been busy. I've been hobbied at home. That's not true, is it? And you totally got me doing another project. I totally have another hobby blog that I'm doing. So, which you'll see in when sometime in October, I think.
I think you'll be done with it in October.
I think
we got to send it through all the typical.
Oh yeah, so it'll be done in October. So you'll see it soon enough. You'll see it. All right.
Yeah. I went from unable to hobby to voraciously hobbying after mini extravaganza.
That's the point. Mini extravaganza get you hype, get you going. We're gonna add red and blue together and paint the underside of the cape.
Yeah, honestly, we marketed to me.
I took a nap after mini strav.
Oh yeah?
Oh,
was
yeah.
it good?
Yeah, I mean it was short. Should have been longer.
Are you a power napper in short stretches, or do you sometimes need like a half-day nap?
No, I'm a power napper. 30 minutes, 20 minutes. All right, we're gonna wet blend, which just means a whole bunch of wet paint very fast. So this is bold pyro red and dark blue max together. Then we'll just add a little more red here and there. I'm starting at the front of the cape, working my way back. Kind of doing like, just straight lines. Keep my brush strokes kind of going with the flow. Maybe put a little extra blue in there. Grab a little extra blue. Put in the shadows. Really crank the red up on the edges, because that's the part of the profile that you're really going to catch. I want this sort of majestic and regal cape situation going on. A lot of bold, majestic red. Oh, that needs to be blended. Just as long as the paint's wet, move it in a line with itself and it'll blend together. Just a little wet blend action. Very easy to do. A little more red for the edge. I think we can let that dry.
So yesterday we were talking a little bit about Red Skull and the sort of panel to panel thought process from the original core set to his appearance in the Earth's Mightiest. So would you mind telling us a little bit about how you came to this pose for Ultron and how you thought about it either similarly or differently from the other?
Oh, sure. Okay, so the original core set Ultron, right? There's nothing wrong, we've talked about during Ministrav, wanting to go back and just kind of reassert ourselves as a studio and what we're capable of, and you have to refresh a core box for a multitude of reasons, and giving players a new entry point that encompasses the breadth and scope of what we've learned from Marvel Crisis Protocol, what we've integrated. So like grunts was new. We wanted grunts to be in there, right? Stuff like that. So, the original Ultron, I really like that sculpt. We were learning a lot in engineering at that time. So like the hips were a little funky, stuff like that. And so it came time, we were like, okay, we're doing this new core set. I mean, we knew from the very beginning we would redo the core set eventually, right? It's the inevitability of a living game. And when we were designing all the characters for Earth's Mightiest, the first Ultron is very cool. He's standing on the rock. He's like pointing. He's being very over dramatic, as an Ultron is wont to do, which I think is very cool. But, a lot of the media has the cape Ultron, and it's so iconic and cool. And I'm also just a huge sucker for robots with capes. I love robots with capes. I love knights with capes. Like anything with armor and capes is just rad in my eyes. Just one of my favorite vibes. So we knew immediately, like, okay, new Ultron, gotta have the cape. We gotta do the cape. It's just so cool. And then we started doodling, and pretty quickly we knew we wanted him up in the air. First off, he has a cape, and capes are dynamic, gives us a lot of ability to play with silhouette and stuff. So getting him up in the air, he's a robot, made a lot of sense. So the pose did not take very long. I don't actually remember any of the other concept poses. This one came about pretty quick. But like this hovery, almost benevolent master, like getting ready to take over the entirety of the world, like is his right and duty, and the inevitableness of it just kind of came through. And it was like, yeah, that's the Ultron, right? Is this, you know, this creature who has just so purposefully decided that it is his right and duty to conquer all and make everything. Yeah. I am your savior. It is I. Behold, right? And like, it just read so well. I think we had the arms in a couple different positions, but really it just came down to this one. Plus the size of Ultron, his shape language, like the way those shoulders are and the head, like it just all works, right? It all comes together to really. Sometimes it's just the pose just kind of creates itself as you're working on it. And then the grunts came along, and then the pose made even more sense, right? Like he's not doing the work, right? That's why he has the drones. So it was a lot of fun. Okay, so I'm pretty sure our warm gray glaze is pretty dry. Let's dig around here. What do we want? Blue, black? Let's do blue, black, I think, or dark. I'm going to put a couple colors out and see what I like. The cape is pretty epic. Who did you get in office to wear a cape in front of a giant fan to get that look? We didn't have to wear anything for this one. It just happened. Sometimes your child just appears.
I have heard that Simone does have a cape.
Simone has a cape, yeah.
Yeah, which will come out at a time when one needs to feel powerful.
Simone has a cape. I have samurai pants. Like, we have a look in here.
Yeah, it's definitely true.
All right, I'm going to grab this blue block, Monument blue block. I want to put a little bit of that glaze medium in there. We're going to go into deep shadows of our Ultron. And we want this to cover, but we still want it to have that little bit of translucency. I'm going to use a bit, you know what? I don't like that color. I'm going to be real honest. I don't like that color. It's too blue. Let's go with this other color. What'd I say? I pushed them aside. I don't remember what color is this. Dark neutral gray, I think? Yeah. We're going to use that. A little less blue. There's a lot of requirements for AMG, but a dress code is not one of them. We're all monsters in our own rights. Okay, we're just going to start shading with this. I make one recommendation for Ultron. Could you add a sword to his hand, preferably a laser sword? You can. I'm already painting mine. I cannot. But I ain't going to stop you. I want to encourage you. Put a laser sword. I can't go back. This is... When does this thing release? You think you have any idea when this was done? This was done so long ago. I can't change it now. Sometimes you get a miniature in and you're like, oh, did we make this? Wow, that was a long time ago.
You're a part of, the whole testing process when it comes to realizing these forms in 3 dimensions. So how does it feel? Like, how often do you feel like you're holding something foreign in your hands by the time it actually gets to you?
Yeah, it's actually pretty often, right? You're like, you get something back after you haven't seen it for a year or whatever, and you're like, wait, did we make this? I don't remember this. Somebody bring up the concept doc. Tony, bring up the concept doc. You're like, wow, I don't even remember this. This is so long ago. It's a weird experience. It's like when they talk about dev brain, because they have like 4, 5, 6 different iterations of the rules in their heads. Sometimes that happens with miniatures as well. You get like so many different miniatures in your head, or versions in your head, and you like don't remember which one is the one you made.
To be honest, it happens at every level, because I have the same thing from like the first time I'm told that a product is going to exist to when we need to figure out how we're going to talk to retailers about it, and then a while later what the social is going to be like, and then I think I've already done it because I've already looked at it once before, but I haven't done it yet. So it's definitely something that I think at every level of action within the studio, we all have to, kind of keep up with the freight train that is that is the pipeline.
There's a lot of ins and outs, lots going on. Oh, it's a little dark up there. Let's pull that down just a little bit. There we go. His name is Ultron. He's a robot. He's coming to your town to kick your butt. It's today's song. So this is the part about metals I really like, is just starting to shade it. And like, the idea here is that the shading is a more opaque paint. If you can practice your 2-brush blending, which I know you all have, you learn how to drag that paint out and create transitions, right? You create, and that transition becomes less opaque as you stretch it out over metals. So what's happening is, if you look at metals in real life, in the shadows, they lose, I'm about to use my favorite word, metallosity. They lose the metallosity. They can become super dark gray or even almost a black. And that is what you want. You want the metallicness to be sort of there in the mid-tone and incredibly prevalent in the highlight. But in the shadow, you want it to go away. You want it all gone. So by a couple layers of opaque paints, you can create that and increase the metallosity. And at first this looks very subtle, and it will look subtle, but as you build the layers, it becomes more and more apparent. Especially when we go to get this sucker on the tabletop. Because the other trick I like is after I paint my metals, I dull coat the entire thing. So it kind of brings it all down a little bit. It's still metallic. You still see the metallicness of it. But it dulls it down ever so slightly. The reason that is, once again, I get to go back with the brightest metallic paint I have. Get to go back and I get to pop those highlights one final time. And that will very dramatically increase that metallosity all over and make the entire miniature just more metallic. By dulling it out, you make it more metallic because of the highlights. It's sort of like black. Black is defined by the highlights. You know, because people have different numbers for this. I always say 80% of the volume of a black object should be black. Just the blackest black you can get. Fun fact, if you put a drop of turquoise ink in your black paint, it makes it even blacker. And then white is defined by its shadows, because only the white is prevalent in the highlights. And then it just completely disappears once you get to the mid-tone and shadows. It just becomes colors. Grays, blues, greens, whatever you're messing with. Metallic is kind of defined by highlights and shadows and less by the mid-tone for me. So I want dull, opaque shadows and zingy bright highlights. Just the sharpest, pinchiest, brightest highlights. And those two combined is what makes it metallic. It's the dark and the light. Because you can't have light without dark. We're going to get philosophical today. Okay, because this is the back, we can kind of just sort of wash the whole back and just let it reside in shadow. So using the savior pose, how did it land on the pose and amount of bots for the grunts? I remember the first concept for the grunts was only 3 grunts. And it just really didn't feel right. It just didn't feel Ultron-y enough, if that makes sense. Like, we really wanted to capture that overrun massive robots. So, I just kept drawing and just kept adding stuff and trying to figure out, and then that's when you definitely bring in Marco and Evan. And I'm like, okay, this is my stupid idea. Can we engineer this? And that's when those two start going, okay, we gotta do this, you gotta do this, you gotta do this, you gotta move this. What if this guy's flying? What if this guy's crawling? Because then we can create anchor points and stuff like that. So you actually start to sort of soft engineer the miniature in the concept phase, like before it's even sculpted, like while it's just a doodle on a piece of paper. And then you change the pose appropriately. So when you turn that over to the sculptor's like working on something that is able to be properly engineered. Because we can do all kinds of things. It's just how much engineering and how many parts we want to make it, or how, stuff like that. We can do one-piece miniatures. The poses are just real boring. And then we try to do something super push, but we want to try to maintain some level of, buildability. So you drag those engineers in and you make them look at your bad drawing. A little darker on the back because it doesn't matter. You're not going to see it. It's behind the cape. Cape, behind the cape. Underside of his hands don't matter. It don't matter. Yeah, he's coming together. What other questions we got? Come on. Don't be shy. Just not rules questions. I'm not good at them. Let's go back to the cape while that dries. A little more red out on the palette. Just keep bringing up. Ooh, that is bright. That's fine. Just blocking in where it goes. Is that a little bit of that blue?
So, here's a question I have for you, Dallas.
Yeah.
We've talked a lot about like the advantages of having a designated hobby spot in your home to always be able to, return at will without having a bunch of setup and breakdown, which not everybody can have, but it certainly is nice. Are you the type of person who assembles everything you have, let's say, in a core set first and then starts painting as you will, or do you like to do everything one by one?
I do everything one by one.
What's your thinking on that?
I just want to get the one out of the way. Like I want to get something done. Right? Like if it's a squad, right? Like if I'm doing a squad, we do squad games. I'll build the whole squad and do the whole squad or a unit, right? If I'm doing Ultron and Ultron bots, like at home, where I'm actually just setting out paint, I'll do it all together because it's all the same colors, right? But I'm not going to build Captain America, Captain Marvel, Zemo, Doc Ock, and then paint it all. It's just not the way I do it. Like I want to get something done. I like getting done with things. So being able to just bust something out is always, to me, just more refreshing.
Yeah, it's definitely satisfying. I also have found that, like, I personally love to assemble everything that I have first and then prime it all so that when I do have, that hour at a time or what have you, I can pop in and knock something out. But the downside to that, and as I'm thinking about my plans for tackling this core set, is that if you are, let's use me as an example, learning how to use a new airbrush to do all your priming, then you make the same mistake on 30 items rather than the first one.
Yeah, I mean, if you're learning something, I definitely don't think batch painting is the way to go, right? Like, because like you said, you're going to make the same mistake. You're not learning. You're not giving yourself the ability to learn from mistakes. For me, I just want to get. If I got to build everything, then I'm not painting anything, and if I'm not painting anything, I'm not getting anything done. So like, building Captain America and just painting him. I'm like, done.
Yeah, there is an element of like, you got to watch out for impatience too, because, you know, if I'm sitting there and I am batch priming, you know, a couple of squads or, you know, an entire core set of terrain and characters, it's like, I feel ultimately like I'm, by the end of it, just physically tired of like moving back and forth and, you know, bending certain ways to get it done. And then by the end of it, I mean, the ones you do at the end are not as well done as the ones you really took your time with in the beginning. So it's important not to let yourself
patience,
just
yeah.
keep going.
Patience is bad, or impatience is bad, I mean.
Yeah.
Like, this is not an impatient thing we do here.
It's like one of the biggest lessons just across the board that I find myself having to learn at every level is just to not rush it, to let it take the amount of time that it takes.
Yeah, there's a process, right? If you don't allow the process to work, then nothing works. So developing that process and letting the process happen is super important. Yeah, I want to give each character their due. And I mean, I'm a fast painter. My favorite color is done. But I still have to trust the process and allow the process. Like, I have to allow the things to happen or they won't. Let's get black in here. Add black to our dark gray. And just the deepest shadows.
Is patience something that came naturally to you as it refers to the process, or did you have to sort of build that into your practice over time?
No, I think I had to learn some level. I think we all have to learn some level of patience.
What helped you get through that hump?
Screwing up.
Yeah, I guess failure is its own teacher.
like being tired of failing and asking why did I fail, and most of the time the answer was the process. Like not allowing the process to work, rushing toward the end when there's no reason to rush. You know, you can go fast and not rush. You know, I think that's a thing that people forget is like you can go fast and not be rushing. You know, when you do studio work, speed is important. When you do freelance work, speed is important. You know, especially for a freelancer, that's your next meal. But if you rush and you make it sloppy or you fail, you lose time, right? Then you're not rushing at all, right? If you rush and skip a step and you have to go back and redo the work, then you've gained nothing. Your rush was for naught. So learning the process, asking about the process, defining the process, and then building in everything around the process and just being like, this is the amount of time it takes, right? That's important. And, for a hobbyist, if you're at home, you don't have a deadline. You don't actually have a deadline. You can take as long as you want. Deadlines are good. I love giving myself deadlines, even for hobby projects, right? For personal hobby projects that mean only something to me, right? I'm like, okay, well, my friend is coming over in 2 weeks to play a game. So what do I need to have ready? Oh, I really need Ultron ready because I want to play Ultron against him because he's not going to be ready for this Ultron. You know what I mean? Sucker!
No, that is true though. I mean, that's one of the reasons I feel like, being on top of, if you're somebody who likes to go to your LGS, right, and play, those nights are so meaningful because you're preparing for them.
You're preparing your army for your opponent.
Yeah.
That's just good manners, personally. Like, I'm paying, like, I've always said, I don't just paint for me, I paint for my opponent. My opponent deserves a good game with badass painted miniatures on the table, right? My opponent deserves that, and I want to give my opponent that. I want to give my opponent that cool story where they're like, oh my gosh, you painted the Ultron so good. And I'm like, thanks, man. You painted that Black Widow so rad. And they're like, thanks. And then we're like, let's tell a story. Yeah. I think I'm going to win, but who knows? I'm going to do my best. Let's do something fun. Now I'm just saying stuff. But you know what I mean? It's like, I feel like it's sort of an obligation in a way for me to like make sure my miniatures are painted so my opponent has like a cool story to tell.
Yeah, the deadlines without like the stress is the key balance.
Yeah.
Right? Because it's supposed to be fun, but we all have all of these
We have
characters we
lives.
want to get to and then get on the table, and the best part of it is being, for me at least, and it sounds like it's for you too, is being able to share what you made. Like for me personally, getting to the game is about being able to share what I made.
Yeah, I've told the story multiple times about like, my friend back in the day, right? I'd go to the game store, young Dallas, living in the Midwest, like just a dumb knucklehead kid. And, I go to the game store, my buddy works there, and I'm like, he's like, check out what I painted. And I'm like, whoa, holy cow, dude. He's like, I know, right? And then like I go home and I'm like, well, I gotta do better than that. So I get my project, I'm like, well, I'm gonna show him. And then I go in the following week, I'm like, hey, look what I painted. He's like, whoa, holy cow, look what you did. I'm like, I know, right? Thanks. And we play a game. It's dope. It's dope. That's what I had to say about that. Just blurking on the paints.
And having those accountability buddies, as I've sometimes heard it called.
Yeah, accountability buddies.
Is really helpful. And it's been really great seeing people use the Facebook groups to have a reason to, share with people what they're working on, or to use the Discord and everything. So that's one of my favorite aspects of watching the community engage with each other and learn new things from each other, and everyone's so, giving. Who was it? You who was saying the next time you're quote unquote intimidated by a piece you see online, instead of like train yourself to ask that person a question about how they did it, rather than saying to yourself, "Man, I could never do that."
Yeah, ask the questions. Ask the questions. Get in there. Don't be shy. We're going to add bright silver. We're going to reclaim some of that metal that got covered up by the other paints and make them more shiny. Okay, we're getting close on time. So if you got questions, you need to ask them. We've only got 10 minutes. We've only got 10 minutes left. Dude next door talking serious business. Serious business happening next door. I can hear him. Tell me about this TPS report. Oh, so we don't do those here. Oh, I see. So I should expect one by the end of the week. Glad we had this meeting. So I'm just touching the edges, just making a little more of that mid-tone blend out. Found setting a deadline with each manager has helped me develop skills better than be perfect. Yeah, perfect is the enemy of good. And let's be honest, the universe isn't perfect. So if the universe isn't perfect, why do I gotta be? The imperfections that make life interesting. It's like live recording of music. It's the way that guitar squeals weirdly in that one recording that's like, man, that's the one. That's the version. It's the imperfections. It's the antithesis of Ultron's beliefs, right? What's my favorite MC? I don't answer those questions. I don't have favorites. I don't have favorites of anything. Is that weird?
If PSL not favorite, then what PSL?
Delicious Today.
Fair.
I like favorites is such a weird concept for me because like, what's your favorite song? Well, I don't know. What am I doing?
Yeah, there is an amount of like reference. Like favorite implies comparison.
Yeah, I don't like. First off, I don't like comparisons.
Yeah. I think. Yeah, for me, it's again less about favorites and more about like what is exciting to me, whether that's like a new skill or a new tool, and what miniature is going to be the best to teach me that.
I like looking at things for what they are and what they bring, like food or a movie or a book or. Like, what's your favorite apple pie? Well, I don't know, because my grandma's apple pie is really, really good. I can't get it anymore. But there's a certain je ne sais quoi about hanging out with a friend in his garage. I'm not naming names. And eating a crappy pumpkin pie, right? From a store. It's Pagani.
I was about to say, I've heard legends of this hidden garage.
You eat the worst pumpkin pie in Pagani's garage, and it's the best because of the situation. So we've only done literally 2 layers here, and then not even a highlight, but a reclaim, and already this Ultron is looking dope.
Well, something I think we can chat a little bit about in our closing moments together this week is the path.
It's how they don't understand that I don't use my real singing voice on stream.
Well, the Path of the Worthy 2024 is less than 6 months away at this point.
Don't remind me.
Doesn't that feel wild?
No, it feels stressful. So much to do. So much to prepare for. Anyway, sorry.
No, it's good. It's fine. It's fine. Your feelings are valid. What we can say is that there is plenty of content planned to come out on social about the Path of the Worthy, featuring entries that medaled last year, and coming up within the next couple of weeks, probably a feature on our winner from last year. So if you are looking for inspiration before you begin your perspiration on your preparation for the Path of the Worthy,
True.
there's plenty coming down the pipeline for you.
Yeah, start getting ready for that Path of the Worthy, like Adepticon 2024. I think it's going to be a big one. I've heard rumors of people prepping their miniatures. So
There's blood in the water.
there's blood. Man goes in the cage. Cage goes in the water. Shark's in the water. Our shark. Like, I think it's going to be a good one, and it's just going to keep getting better, and hopefully you're along for the ride, kids. At least to see all the cool stuff. See, now we're bringing that metal back, and because I dulled all the shadows down, it's more metallic. This is true metallic metal. True metallic metal isn't just throw on a silver and an armor wash. True metallic metal is painting with the non-metallic philosophy, really getting in there and doing something interesting. So I really hope to see people really start to use true metallic metal in a deeper philosophical way.
Sometimes you deliver these like one-liner quotes, and I need to start collecting them so that we can add them on like quote cards before, like the carousel before and after the paint stream. You heard it here first. This is happening.
Look, I have said for many years, if I could have one thing in my life, it'd be a stenographer. Because I say random nonsense, and then 10 minutes later, it's gone. It is just gone. It's just eradicated from my head. And I'm like, man, that was a good line. Should have wrote that down.
That's what I'm here for. I'm not a stenographer, but I'm here to listen.
Put it in the book. I'll have to tell you what we named a Twitter we were going to say about stuff Schick says.
Okay.
What? What are you laughing about?
I'm curious what it is. Is this a not on stream sharing moment?
Can I say it on stream?
I don't know what you're talking about yet, so I really couldn't
I don't
say.
know. Can I say it on stream? I mean, I always thought he needed a Twitter just called Chick Talking.
Chick posts?
Chick Post. He's got such a meaty thigh over here, this robot. If I was a robot designing my own bot, I'd get myself a meaty thigh too. 3C thick.
He definitely does not skip leg day in this miniature.
I think the metal's about done on the front. Oh, it's 2 o'clock. Okay, so we didn't get as far as I wanted, but I got pretty far. I feel pretty good. Got some red on the cape. It needs to be punched one more time, definitely. The metals are pretty done, but the philosophy's there, and hopefully that helps you when you're painting up your Ultron bots, or any other metallic thing. Like, think about the metals. Think about how shading with a translucent paint, an opaque paint, increases the overall metallosity. And the more you can let that opacity blend over the midtone and sort of dull the metal, and then coming back with metal and reclaiming and do the poppy highlights, the more opaque the shadows and the more bright and sharp the highlights, the more metallosity you're going to achieve. I like sneaking in colors, blues. So I'm probably going to do like a little blue glaze on one side of him, or maybe an undertone of orange. Once I get the explosion, do a little undertone of orange. But sneaking some colors in that metal also gives it a lot of light and vibrancy. We still got the glows to do. We still got a cape finish. We still got explosion to finish. But overall, I'm feeling pretty good about the direction, and hopefully the philosophy gets you going on your next project. Show me that true metallic metal is what I'm saying. I want to see the true metallic metals. I love them. And they can be super artistic and super bold because you have the art brains and you can do it. Are we done?
Yep.
Okay. Remember, every Tuesday and Wednesday here on Twitch, you can check us out for Atomic Mass Transmissions Live. We hang out, we paint, we talk, we philosophize. Sometimes we sing songs. Sometimes we do it real bad. You never know what you're going to get. And for all the latest news, information, and announcements coming from Atomic Mass Games, you can check us out on Twitter and our Instagram. That's where we post stuff. You should go there. You should check it out. Do the thing. It's fun. So until next week, we'll see you later. Go be an Ultron hero wearing a cool cape. Robots. Bye.